Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a former Boeing 737 pilot, and today I am very excited to try the brand new FS2CREW SOP set number 2 for the PMDG Boeing 737 MAX of Flight Simulator. So we're standing here in the RYANAIR 737-800 at London Stansted, and we're going to fly it over to Dublin. Now, this is a flight that I'm especially excited for because not only we have a very good equipment in terms of the add-ons for this particular route, but also because it is the one route that my channel started off on back in the day with the 737 tutorials. So, this one is going to use FS2CREW SOP set number 2, which is quite different from SOP set number 1, but I will explain things as we get along on the way. Do note that I am going to use the button control mode because I'm just not that good with voice control. Finally, we also have two great sceneries available for this one, the first one being London Stansted from IndyBuilds and the second being Dublin from MK Studios. Both really recommendable, and I can absolutely recommend you to check them both out. So this is probably going to get as close to the ultimate Ryanair experience as it probably gets, but we'll have to see how FS2CREW is going to perform along the way. This is the very first time flying it, but I am fairly familiar with the SOP they're using. So for that reason, I do expect to get straight into it. Okay then, let's go ahead and head right into the airplane and start having a little bit of fun today.
Let's start setting up.
Okay, I'm out for the walk around.
So FS2CREW is going to start their setup at the same time we start ours. And you will notice that in the SOP set number 2, it is mostly the pilot flying, doing the vast majority of stuff, and the pilot monitoring is actually only going to take over as the guy doing the systems for the time where the pilot flying is actually in control of the aircraft. That means the pre-flight is pretty much completely done by the PF, and...
Hi, the security and safety checks are all done. Are we good to start boarding?
Yes, you can start boarding.
Thanks.
So listen to that boarding music. Now, it's not exactly Ryanair's, but it does get quite close, doesn't it? Certainly reminds you of something I heard every now and then. What's nice as well is that with the SOP set number 2, which is a famous low-cost SOP from Europe, hint hint hint, you only get 20 minutes for the entire pre-flight, which adds a little bit to the fun. So, I would say it is about time to start boarding in GSX. And what is that saying down there? You are too late for your scheduled departure, try another time. Well, my friend, if you didn't crash on me 2 times, then I wouldn't have to try this again and again.
No issues on the walk around.
Okay.
What's that? I pressed the... Why did my ground power vanish? Oh boy, this feels like the actual Stansted, I have to say. This really feels like the actual Stansted. In the real Stansted, they often lose ground power as well. And then you go ahead and start up the APU. Just like in the real place. The ground power units at Stansted are rather weak, and basically what happens very, very often is that they simply cut out right during operation, and then you end up seeing exactly what you see right now. The only difference would be the boarding music would stop.
Hi, here's a fuel slip.
Thanks.
Welcome. Have a nice flight.
The only difference would be the boarding music would likely stop, because if we are frank, the pram always cuts out. It just always cuts out. Anyway, in the meantime, time for us to start loading up a little bit of the airplane over here, and by the time the APU is available, we should then hopefully be able to go right back into our pre-flight procedures. Here we go. So note to myself, GSX kills your ground power unit when you request it. But let's see something on the more positive side. That is, when the boarding finally starts then, we are going to get some very exciting passenger movements coming right out of the part of the terminal. And that is quite cool, isn't it? Okay then, we don't want to board any crew. You guys can start with the passengers straight away. Alright, let's get right back into it. We still got a turnaround to complete. So, database is current, and we're in Echo Golf, Shitty Stansted. Please, just don't ask me where that comes from. And here they come. Normally they would put some pigs over here, that's passenger guidance system. And those would guide the passengers to the aircraft, but I suppose we have to live with what we get over here. In any case, pretty cool to see that there's actually the correct handling operators over here. Even though Ryanair would never, ever have that much luggage on a flight like this. Okay, anyway, let's go straight back into the airplane and go ahead with our pre-flight procedures. So, we're in Stansted, going to Echo India Delta Whiskey. And we are the Ryanair 6 Mike Lima. Runway 22 is active today, and we got the Utava 1 Romeo departure. And then we can go ahead and have a quick look into our route. So, Quebec 75 towards Buzzard. Then Tango 420 Trent, Upper Lima 28 towards Laldo, and then Mike 145 towards Baxo. Right, landing runway is going to be the ILS for runway 28 left, Baxo 3 Lima arrival. And that's it. Okay. Route, activate. Very quick look through this. Make sure we got all the right restrictions. Make sure that we don't overshoot the initial turn. So I'm going to put a 220 knot restriction in at the Bravo point. What do you... Oh yeah. 220 E/. Thank you, that looks good. Okay, famous Ryanair cost index of 6. Reserve fuel is going to be 2.3 tons, and that's going to take us towards Shannon today. They got 57.8 tons planned at flight level 340. Type of climb wind is 282 at 34. And the ISA deviation +3, that means -49, is going to be our outside temperature. Transition altitude in the UK, 6001. Temperature, yes, on Ryanair aircraft, you need to enter that manually. And that's basically it. Okay, for the climb page, that stuff looks good. Finally, we can put a little ring over here, 25 nautical miles. Okay, boarding is in progress. That looks somewhat familiar. So it actually is the pilot flying's job, that is you, to do the entire system setup in the SOP set number 2. Fueling complete, so those can go on. What do the cabin temperatures look like? Yeah, fairly hot, but you know what, we got the APU on anyway, so I suppose we put the bleeds on as well.
Hi guys, here is the load sheet for you.
Thank you.
No problem. Have a safe flight.
Okay, looks like they are almost done already. That is quite quick today. Okay, elevation 220 roundabout, so let's make it 250 up here. Okay, that's all checked. We can use the right igniter since we do have maintenance over here. Flight director's on, initially climb at 4,000 feet. Course is 222, same for the runway heading. And then we are about done. So the FO should do their EFIS control panel himself. Pack lights still inoperative. I do sincerely hope that they're gonna fix those. Eventually, at some point, maybe, with a bit of luck. Well, we can still hope. Okay, MFRA for this one, 3,400, sorry, 1,348. All those values still sound somewhat familiar. And here we go, 1348, and that should be pretty much all we need. Okay then, I suppose we can have a very quick look into the departure briefing today. And I'm going to run
Hey guys,
this.
all packs are on board. Are we clear to close?
Yes.
Thanks. Let me know if you need anything.
Okay, so let's go ahead and run the departure briefing and see what they're gonna say.
And are you ready for the departure brief?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's going to be a standard pushback and start off the gate. Taxi route will be as assigned by ATC. It'll be a left seat takeoff, using an assumed temperature. Anti-ice will be off. We are under our maximum landing weight, so we're okay to make an immediate return. Okay, all going well, the departure routing will be via the ATC assigned SID, complying with all published speed and altitude restrictions. We'll use NADP2. Flight directors are on, mine is Master, yours is Slave, navigation radios are set, the NOTAMs and the aircraft log have been reviewed. Any questions, comments or concerns?
No questions.
Departure brief complete. Before start checklist below the line.
Before start checklist below the line.
Nope, that is not the one we
pack.
wanted to do. Stop that, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard our
Cabin
flight
crew,
today.
arm slides and...
As you look at seats, please place your smaller items under the seat in front of you to provide more space in the overhead bins for larger luggage. If you need assistance, please contact
Safety
one of our
inspection
flight
checklist
attendants.
and before start
If
checklist
you are
to the
unable
line.
to stow your
Safety
items,
inspection
bring
checklist.
it to
Surfaces
the boarding
and
door
jobs.
and we will check it for you.
Checked.
Maintenance
We also
status.
request that you
Checked.
review
Battery.
the safety card in your
On.
seat pocket.
Electrical hydraulic
If you're
pumps.
seating in an
On.
exit
Landing
seat,
gear
also
lever.
review the exit seat criteria. Thank you.
Down.
Ship's library.
Checked.
Safety inspection checklist completed.
Before start checklist to the line.
IRS mode selectors.
Nav.
Gear pins.
1, 2, 3 removed.
Probe covers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 removed.
Light test.
Checked.
Oxygen.
Oh, we still needed to do that.
Tested 100%.
Tested 100%. Yaw damper.
On.
Nav transfer and display switches.
Normal auto.
Fuel.
5086 kilograms required. 5086 kilograms on board. Pumps on.
Cabin utility IFE galley power.
On.
Emergency exit lights.
Armed.
Fasten belts.
On.
Window heat.
On.
Air conditioning and pressurization.
Pax auto bleeds on set.
Pressurization mode selector.
Auto.
Instruments.
Cross checked.
Auto brake.
RTO.
Hydraulics.
Normal.
Speed brake.
Down. Detent.
Parking brake.
Set.
Stabilizer trim cut out. Switched.
Normal.
Wheel well fire warning.
Checked.
Radios, radar and transponder.
Set and standby.
Rudder and aileron trims.
3 and 0.
Takeoff briefing.
Discussed.
PA.
Complete.
FMC and CDU.
Okay, we quickly got to do those before we continue over here. Normally, what you would do in real life is you would say, before start checklist, down to PA, because you would still have to do your takeoff performance. In our case, luckily, things are going to go a little bit quicker, so we assume that all of that is done. Got a 22k takeoff, 45 degrees. And that is going to give us flaps 5. That's what you usually use with this SOP set. And then we got 142 knots V2. Like that. Okay.
set.
N1 and indicated airspeed bugs.
Auto, full, 139139142, set.
Stabilizer trim.
6.0 units, set.
Performance, weight and balance.
Signed and sent.
Signed and sent. Phones.
Off.
Off. Electronic flight bag.
Airplane mode and stowed.
Airplane mode and stowed. Flight deck windows and cockpit door.
Locked.
Doors.
Closed.
Passengers.
Seated.
Before start checklist to the line completed.
Okay then, that's our checklist completed. Then let's go ahead and remove our chock so that GSX can get the upline ready. And GSX is ready, very good. So then at this point we'd request our pushback from air traffic control, and when that is given, the PF is going to commence the procedure, and then...
Before start checklist below the line.
Before start checklist below the line. Air conditioning packs.
Off.
Anti-collision light.
On.
Parking brake.
Set.
Transponder.
Out. Off.
Before start checklist below the line completed.
Okay, and with that we can release our brakes.
All engines clear. Start at will.
Start sequence is 2, then 1.
Check.
Okay then, we'll have to wait until we are fully clear of the road over here. Which we are now, so let's go ahead and start our engines.
Start engine 2.
Starting engine 2.
Once again, it's the PF doing all this lovely stuff. So
Oil
remember,
pressure.
the PF is you. Interestingly enough, you should announce N2 and N1 when they're rotating, but looks like FS2CREW isn't doing that.
Set parking brakes.
Hot pitch to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Starter cutout.
Now the PF should say monitor number 2.
Number
And-
2 stable.
Here we go. Okay, so just want to show you a quick procedure here in that once engine number 2 is started, FS2CREW can command isolated pack operation, so let's do that.
Isolator pack.
Unlocking gear.
Pack isolated.
Okay, and now,
Start engine 1.
Starting engine 1.
so start lever to ground, and off we go with the next engine start.
Oil pressure.
Tow
And
truck
2.
disconnected.
Should have set that as well.
Pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
So we've got N2, N1, fuel on, check the valves, operating correctly, and on we go.
Starter cutout.
Monitor 1.
Number 1 stable.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. This is your person speaking. Please
Okay,
direct your
once that
attention
is
to the
done,
cabin
it
crew
is
for the
up
following
to
safety
the pilot flying
instructions.
to commence the
We will now demonstrate how to fasten,
procedure.
tighten,
So
and
that is all
unfasten your
pilot flying
seatbelt.
stuff, not pilot
This
monitoring
aircraft
stuff.
has clearly marked emergency exits. All exits are equipped with slides. Floor level
Your signal
lighting will
is
guide you
received.
to the marked exits. In
And
the event of
then-
decompression, oxygen mask will be released from the panel above
Flight
you.
controls check.
Pulling
Ready.
the mask down will start the oxygen flow.
Full
Place it
left,
firmly over your mouth and nose and
Full
secure
right.
the elastic strap over your head.
center,
Then assist others. Oxygen
up.
masks are also provided in lavatories.
full
For your own
down,
safety, passengers are not
Center,
allowed to
rudder.
congregate in groups around the lavatories.
full left,
When
full
instructed
right.
to do so, please take the
Center.
life vest, which is
flight
under your
controls
seat.
check complete.
Place the life vest over your head. Place the
Before
strap
taxi
around your body.
checklist,
Before taxi
Attach the
checklist,
end into the buckle at the
generators,
front and pull
on.
the strap
APU,
tight.
off,
Pull the right
Start
handles
switches.
to inflate the life vest only after
Continuous.
leaving the
Probe
aircraft
heat.
to the emergency
On.
exits.
anti-ice,
The life vest has two
Off.
valves
Air
to inflate
conditioning.
or release air
Max
pressure.
auto bleeds on,
The signal
Isolation
lamp lights
valve.
up on contact with
Auto.
water.
flaps,
At this time, please take a view at the safety card in front of
5
you.
required, 5,
Here you find
selected,
further
green
important
light.
information.
stabilizer trim,
Furthermore, you have to comply with
6.0
ordnance
units.
signs
Units
and crew
required.
member
6.0
instructions.
units. Units set.
start
This is a
levers,
non-smoking flight.
Idle
Smoking is
detents.
not
Flight
permitted in the
controls.
cabin or the
Checked.
lavatories.
recall,
Cabin lights
Checked.
will now
before
be turned
taxi
off.
checklist completed,
For takeoff, if you need a reading
Clear
light,
left.
you will
Clear
find
right.
it in the panel
Config
above
check.
your head. Thanks for your attention.
Okay, so usually it's going to be the captain who handles the lights on the left-hand side over here. For that reason, we could just do that ourselves. The brake is released. Let's go. We start with the config check. No takeoff config warning. That's the important point. And then we can taxi. Taxi is fairly easy. Straight out, left, first right, and then we are there. On the apron we got to be rather careful. It's a pretty congested apron in Stansted usually, and there's loads of traffic driving around. For that reason I am going to delay the before takeoff checklist to the line until we are clear of the apron and established on taxiway hotel. We're clear on the right, clear on the left.
Before takeoff checklist to the line.
before takeoff checklist to the line, config,
Check.
flaps,
5, green light.
stabilizer trim,
6.0 units. Set.
takeoff briefing,
Pax auto bleeds on. Speed 139139142. Set. Stop altitude is 4,000 feet. Reviewed.
holding at cabin, cabin,
Secure.
before takeoff checklist to the line completed,
Okay, we're going to go via Sierra 1 today. That means first taxiway to the right, and then we are ready to go. Okay.
Approach is clear on the left.
approach is clear on the right, stand by,
Before takeoff checklist below the line.
before takeoff checklist below the line, MCP, cabin crew, seats for departure,
Set.
transponder,
TARA
strobe lights,
on.
landing lights,
Complete the checklist.
landing lights,
On.
before takeoff checklist below the line completed,
Okay.
Approaching. 2-2.
So, clear on both sides. We'll take the maximum runway length we can get. And then we are good to go.
Timing.
timing,
On runway. 22.
Set takeoff thrust.
Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. knots.
Checked.
V1, rotate.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up.
Positive rate. Gear up.
LNAV.
LNAV.
Bug up.
Bug up.
Interesting, I'm flying manually, I set bug up, but he didn't do it.
Command A.
I guess in that case we just gotta do it ourselves.
Flaps 1.
Speed checked. Flaps 1.
Flaps up.
Speed checked. Flaps up.
Oh, vertical speed.
1 to go.
Check.
That's always lovely in Stansted. When you have those low level of altitudes here, like we do right now, then you gotta go vertical speed before you can actually do the flaps up, no lights call. Which is supposed to be done at 3000 above departure field, so let's see if that is going to come.
Flaps up, no lights.
That's what I call timing. I wonder why he put the runway turn-off lights off. He's not supposed to do that. They're supposed to be kept on. But anyway.
Stand by. After takeoff checklist, air conditioning and pressurization. 1.7 set. Altimeters.
Passing 4001 feet. QNH 1012.
After takeoff checklist completed. Happy to release the cabin crew?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, that was interesting. They released the cabin crew by putting the seatbelts off and on again. That's not how you do it. Normally they would press the attendant call button and then put the no smoking sign into the off position as a reminder. That would be the normal SOP, the normal way to do it. But I have to say, so far the procedural accuracy is pretty good over here. So we made it right out. We are now level and we can start accelerating a little bit. I'll use 220 knots over here. And normally at some point over here ATC would give you a climb instruction, so I suppose we are going to get that just about now. Let's say initially flight level 80, so we go set, flight level 80 checked, VNAV, and then we gotta clear all those altitude constraints, and off we go.
Transition set standard.
Standard set.
Okay, that's not how the call would go under SOP2. The call should be, well, set standard, then you set it, and then the guy says cross-check, passing, and so on. So that should go a little bit different. Anyway, we made it out of Stansted. The next call from FS2CREW, I would expect at flight level 100, so let's go ahead and clear ourselves up a little bit higher, and then we'll just go straight to cruise level, like this. And when the cruise level is set on the MCP, there should be a call as well. I'm not sure if they can actually read the cruise level out, so they might not be able to read that out and therefore not be able to do the call, but normally when your cruise level is set, it goes set, flight level 340 checked, then flight level 340, set, 1, 2, 3 times, monitoring 1 to 1.5. Looks like the FO didn't quite do his setup there. Like, he should be on VHF number 1 at all the time. So, looks like there's a little bit more stuff that remains to be done, but overall, I have to say, for the first release, well, to be fair, there has been one patch already. I have to say that I'm really happy with what we've got. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a little shortcut. Let's go direct towards Elvos. Like that. Looks good.
Altimeters.
Climbing, flight level 100. 10 checks.
10 checks. Fuel lights. APU. Air conditioning and pressurization. 4.1. Fasten belts. Happy to release the cabin? Recall. Monitor 121.50 on VHF2.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may now use your laptop computers and other portable electronic devices.
Well, so that was interesting. Normally the 10 checks would have gone like this. Fuel, balanced, 4 pumps on, lights off, air conditioning and pressurization, 4.6, climbing, set, fasten belts. He should have asked me what I wanted to do with the fasten belts.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, he did ask me. My mistake. So, fasten belts. Auto, recall, checked. Monitoring 1 to 1.5. That is like how you normally do the 10 checks. Okay, and from here on, things are going to get a little bit more boring, so I'm going to speed things up again until stuff gets interesting once again.
Angler bank 10.
Checked.
Now that's interesting. Normally, it would have been my job to set the angular bank to 10 degrees and only then the PF would have announced it, but well, looks like they did it for us. The important thing is fulfilled. The angular bank selector is at 10. That's what counts.
1 to go.
Check.
Okay, reached our cruise level, then let's go ahead and quickly set max continuous. At this moment the PF would call conset. And since we're already 70 miles from the top of descent, we can hand control to the first officer and then start our descent preparation. But before we do that, let's take a quick shortcut going direct towards Leldo. Like that. Okay, now let's hand the controls over.
You have control.
I have control.
And with the first officer now being the pilot flying, it's now up to us to start the descent preparation and start programming our FMC. So in order to do that, we'll start off over here with 250 below flight level 100. Forecast page, we need some values. So we got level 300, level 200, level 100. And keep in mind, RYANAIR doesn't have any ACAS, so you actually should insert that stuff yourself and not just use the uplinks which are not available in Ryanair. Okay, level 200, 295 at 31. And then level 100, 271 at 20. Okay, so Dublin weather, wind 220 at 10, slightly variable. View 2000 CB, 18 degrees, QNH 1010. Let's go ahead and pre-select that. Transition level is then going to be 80, or probably level 75 indeed. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, our landing runway is going to be 28 left, and we're in level 340. That means we'll take a ring that is 102 miles, a 10-mile ring, and then finally a 4-mile ring. So that's the preparation complete that we actually need to do in order to start the approach briefing. We can just quickly tune our frequencies and the courses, so that's going to be 278 on both sides on the courses. 278 like that, and 278 like that. I got no clue why the first officer went over to the other ND mode. It should be on this one. Also, it would be grand if the first officer, when he has control, would actually synchronize the heading bug, but I suppose that's just asking a little bit too much. Okay then, ILS gonna be on 1135. So 1135, 1135, and finally we need Dublin VOR for the missed approach. You can just about take that and go to nav data, nav 8 island, and Dublin 14.9. That's for the lazy among you who can't be bothered to take out any charts, even though I can still absolutely recommend using charts. But anyway, that is all we need to start the briefing, since the flap setting is going to be decided on during the briefing, and the same goes for the auto brake. However, I do not believe that in FS2CREW that would actually happen, so for that reason, let's quickly go ahead and set that stuff up ourselves as well. Okay, so, missed approach altitude. For this one, we can basically take that all straight out of the FMC now. The FMC got all that data. So missed approach is going to be 3000, we got to set that up in FS2CREW. Final approach fixed altitude is going to be 2500. Landing runway ID 28 left. Okay. So then I suppose we are going to give it a little try and run that briefing and then see what's going to happen. Just for a second, as I'm looking into the FS2CREW menu, the last thing we should do over here is have a very quick check into our minimums. That would be quite handy for sure. So in order to do that, let's quickly bring up Sim Toolkit Pro, which I'm using to display my Navigraph charts over here. Here we go. Okay, so for the arrival approach, and it is going to be the ILS 28 left, minimums 402. That's the last thing we need over there. So minimums 402, and we can do the same on the PFD. Dial in 402. A little bit of turning over here. At least it's more precise than the aircraft avionics update aircraft, where you always miss the desired numbers. Okay, anyway, so that is 402 set, and since we have received our H's, we can select the QNH on our PFD as well. Okay then, let's go ahead and run the approach briefing and see what's going to come up with it.
Are you ready for the approach brief?
Okay.
The arrival routing will be via the ATC assigned star, complying with all published speed and altitude restrictions. for an ILS approach, planning a flaps 30 landing, and the final approach fixed altitude is 2,500 feet. Decision altitude is 402 feet. Missed approach altitude is 3,000 feet. The taxi route in will be as assigned by ATC. We'll plan for a single engine taxi in. We'll be arriving at a remote stand. We'll use the APU, but please delay the start until my command as we have a long taxi in. The current weather poses a threat, we won't rush any procedures today. Descent speeds and navigation radios are set, and airport NOTAMs have been reviewed. Any questions, comments or concerns?
No questions.
Approach brief complete.
Okay, so that is basically the briefing now. As I've shown you in my tutorial videos, the actual briefing in the SOP set number 2 would be a little bit different there. Normally they would, well, follow an entirely different briefing sequence. So as far as I can see, FS2CREW actually just took the... yeah, they actually just took the standard procedures that they had from the other FS2CREWs, or the standard briefings, I should say, to be fair, and inserted that over here. The same goes for the cabin announcements. By the way, those aren't custom to SOP number 2 as well, but they are much rather, well, generic announcements. Okay, in any case...
I have control.
You have control.
Descent checklist.
Descent checklist. Pressurization.
Landing altitude 250 set.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Approach briefing and fuel.
Discussed.
Indicated airspeed and altimeter bugs.
Ah, look at that. We forgot the flap setting. Not very surprising, to be honest, because we would normally do that during the briefing, and since we don't have an interactive briefing over here, like in real life, that got lost. So let's quickly look at that. We're going to burn 800 kilograms, which is a landing weight of 60.3. Yeah, 60.3. We're going to do flap 30 landing, and then auto brakes 3, take the first exit. Okay, so
BREF 142, minimums 402 feet, checked and set.
Descent checklist completed.
alright, and that is our preparation complete. With that done, we can speed it up a little bit again until we get all the way down to 15 minutes prior to landing, where we're going to switch on the seatbelt signs. Passing level 300 in the descent, I've just set my angular bank selector to 25, and interestingly enough, while on the climb they set it themselves towards 10 and made the correct call, in the descent they omitted that completely. Passing 15,000 feet, that is normally where the FO would ask us at the very latest to turn on the seatbelt sign, or even just do it themselves. Because 15,000 is basically the latest where it's supposed to do that. So let's hope that they are going to update that, because it did not happen here. So for that reason I'm just going to do it myself. Now, it really isn't rare that this happens by the captain or by the pilot flying as well on the line if the other colleague misses it. So don't be surprised if you have to do that yourself every now and then. Indeed, it is still quite normal that the PF is actually going to do that himself. It's really more like whoever notices first. That is in practice, not in theory. Okay then, we're about to enter the point merge arrival into Dublin, and since there is no traffic here at all, we're just about going to get it direct towards Latmo in a few moments. And indeed, we might just about do that direct straight away. So, start to Latmo, that's what we need. Looks good. Execute. LNAV available. LNAV. Ending up at 1,600 high on profile, so that's totally fine. Going to use a little bit of speed brake, and then we should have that corrected in a few moments. Okay, in FS2CREW my next action is to call for the frisk check, but I do believe that, well, they should give us the seatbelts optionally first, and, well, okay, let's make our lives easy. We'll go down all the way to 3,000.
Transition set altimeter 1010.
1010 set.
Okay, that's not how you do the call under this SOP. The call normally should be set QNH or set altimeter 1010. Set passing 10,600, descending 3,000, no flags, standby altimeter set. That would be the correct call. Provided that there are no flags. If there are any, obviously they are going to be called out. Well, okay, approaching 10,000, let's see if we get the 10 checks at least.
Altimeters.
Yes, we do.
Descending, flight level 100. 10 checks.
10 checks. Cabin crew, 10 minutes to landing. Fuel, lights. Angle of bank. Air conditioning and pressurization. 4.2. Fasten belts. Recall 121.50 selected.
It should be deselected at this point, so 1 to 1.5 should be deselected. Okay, again, the 10 checks weren't executed quite 100% correctly. It should be fuel, balanced, 4 pumps on, lights on, angle of bank 25, air conditioning and pressurization 4.0, descending, set fasten belts on, recall, checked, 1 to 1.5, deselected, cabin crew 10 minutes to landing. That is normally how it should be done. The double beep you just heard right now is the cabin crew giving us the signal that the cabin is secured for landing.
Bottles as well as packaging. Of course, you may also give us newspapers and magazines you wish to dispose. In preparation for landing, please stow your hand luggage in the overhead compartments on the seat in front of you. Please switch off all electronic devices and stow them into your hand luggage. Please be careful while opening the overhead head tracks. Your luggage may have shifted during flight. Please check that your seatbelt securely fastened. Bring the backwards of the seat and tips in upright position. If you've booked an connecting flight, please contact our ground staff or take a look at the information screen inside the terminal building. We will be landing shortly. Thank you for your cooperation.
Those calls really don't match the operation of this airline. That's funny. Okay, anyway, we are below 10,000 and all we need to wait for now is receiving the ILS. As soon as we start receiving the ILS signals, we can call for the frisk check and then we can run the approach checklist afterwards. Normally you would start receiving the ILS, well, quite a way out, and then latest 25 miles out you would normally receive it well. Okay, here it comes. So we've got the identifier, so let's call for the frisk.
Frisk.
Frequencies 111 decimal 35. Rings runway 28 left 10 miles and 4 miles. Idents India Delta Whiskey and India Delta Whiskey. Standby instruments set. Courses 278 and 278. Frisk complete.
Approach checklist.
Approach checklist. Altimeters and instruments.
Set and cross-check.
Approach aids.
Checked and set.
Approach checklist completed.
So that was actually mostly correct there on the frisk. You might have been wondering, when he set the ident India Delta Whiskey and India Delta Whiskey, he basically checked the idents on each PFD separately, because keep in mind this is 2 different receivers, and you want to make sure that you are receiving the same thing 2 different times. So that's how that stuff works. Apart from that, frequencies, same over there. Read the left side, read the right side, and many colleagues would go ahead and cross-check it with the approach reference page in the FMS as well. And then of course when the rings are called out 10 miles and 4 miles, you check it against the fix info page over here to make sure that the correct rings are entered along the correct runway. Might be very easy if you had a runway change, for example, from 28 left towards 10 right, that you forget the rings around the threshold of the other end of the runway, and then obviously they're going to be, or those rings are going to be much too close to the landing runway. We have to keep in mind that it becomes very easy to forget monitoring the DME at all when you have those rings drawn around your landing runway. So it might become very easy just to rely exclusively on the rings over here and forget about monitoring the DME. And therefore, if you've got the rings but you got them around the wrong end of the runway, that can easily become quite a bit of a problem. So for that reason, always check it on the fix info page. Maybe they can call the fix info page on the right FMC as well in the FS2CREW with a future update. Okay then.
Flaps 1.
Speed checked.
So let's wait for it. As soon as the flaps are in the 1 position and the green light shows, they should call flap 1.
Flaps 1. Cabin crew, seats for landing.
And that was too early. Now they should call flaps 1. So that call came a bit early there. Okay, we are getting sensible indications. Approach mode is armed. I'm just waiting a tiny bit with calling for flap 5 because if you look at the ground speed, we are already doing just 180 knots, 14 miles out, so we are a little bit on the slow side at the moment. But that's fine. There's nothing wrong with flying too slow unless the stall warning kicks off. So that is alright.
Flaps 5.
Speed checked.
Keep in mind you need flaps 1 the latest when you're passing the 10-mile ring. At the 10-mile ring, 200 knots ground speed maximum, flaps 1
Flaps 5.
or higher, and 3,000 feet above the destination field. You can see we're roughly 3 miles out, 4,100, so keep in mind 200 feet of landing elevation, so we're looking good the way we are
to go.
right now.
Check.
So with that we can basically cross-check that the glide slope indication we see over here is sensible, and that we are not about to follow a side lobe of the glide slope, which is what we absolutely need to avoid. Okay, we've got localizer and glide slope capture. This runway heading 278 and 3,000 feet set. So, while flying, select the RP progress page 4, because you have the cross-check error and the vertical deviation readings over here. And with that we are established. So, under this SOP, by the time you reach 4 DME or 4 miles from the runway in VMC, you're gonna go gear down flap 15. If you're in IMC, you're gonna do that at 5 miles. Landing gate in 4 miles, that is 500 feet, and the landing gate at in IMC is going to be 1,000 feet. So, visibility isn't the best, but you can see easily 20 kilometers over here, so it is certainly VMC. So that looks good, we are established and on speed. Due to the headwind of 20 knots, we need a little bit of thrust here. Normally with flaps 5 it would do a very nice thrust idle descent on the 3-degree glide slope. At that point the PF should say terrain noted. It looks like he ain't gonna say anything. So, passing 5 miles. We are definitely in VMC over here, even though we don't see the runway yet. So you can always disregard that ring. If you're at 5 miles and you're in IMC, I would just go ahead and drop the gear. But this way around, it's fine. 4 miles.
Gear down, flaps 15.
Speed checked. Flaps 15. Gear down.
Landing checklist to flaps.
Landing checklist to flaps. Start switches.
Continuous.
Recall.
Checked.
Speed brake.
Armed. Green light.
Approaching.
Landing
2,
gear.
8.
Down 3
left.
green.
Auto brake.
3 set.
Holding up flaps.
Flaps 30.
1,000.
So, flaps 30, please. Nope. Okay, then I better do it now.
Complete the checklist.
Flaps.
30, 30, green light.
Holding at landing lights.
Complete the checklist.
Landing lights.
On.
Landing checklist completed. 500 feet.
Checked.
That call should have been either 500 continue or 500 go around.
100.
Speed checked. Flaps 30.
Well, thank you. That call was certainly unnecessary.
Minimums.
Minimums.
Continue. Manual flight.
$50, $40, $30, $20, $10.
Speed brake up. Reverse as normal. 7, 8%. 100 knots.
Checked.
80 knots.
Checked.
60 knots.
1,000.
Checked.
2.
Manual braking.
100
Auto brake
meters
disarmed.
remaining.
You can clean up.
Roger.
Ladies and gentlemen, just landed at our destination. Please keep your seatbelt fastened until you reach the final parking position, and the fasten seatbelt signs above you switched off. Please open the overhead bins careful to avoid luggage falling out, and also refrain
Interesting,
from
looks like
smoking
BFO
in
turned the
the
landing lights
designated
off for
smoking
us.
area in the terminal.
Should not have done that.
On behalf of the entire crew, would like to say goodbye to you now. It was a pleasure fun having you aboard today, and we hope to see you soon on one of our flights. Thank you once more. For you all the best, take care. Tschüss and bye bye.
So let's turn on to Sierra and then we'll do a quick check if they have done the cleanup procedure correctly. Here we go. Okay, so transponder standby, flaps up. We did the speed brakes, that is by the SOP, trim 4 units, auto brakes off. They should have brought up the systems page. And the approach mode should have been reset on the ISFD. MCP looks good, 100
Check
knots.
speed.
Altitude plus 100. And that's that. Lights, yeah, well, I should have done the landing lights, but apart from that, things look good on the overhead panel. So that cleanup was alright. So once the flaps are up for 30 seconds, they should do a recall. And when the recall is done, they should check the systems page, the hydraulic accumulator, and then say systems and brakes normal. And that would more or less be the trigger, 3 minutes after landing, with the thrust setting around idle thrust to do this.
Shut down engine 2.
We're not at 3 minutes yet.
Yeah, that doesn't matter, just do it. Those 3 minutes would normally start by the time you go back to idle reverse on the landing, so you would normally be at 3 minutes by now. And well, if the FO won't do it, then we do it. Saves a fair amount of fuel here. If you watch the fuel flow now, you'll see that even if we have to increase thrust on the number 1 engine, it would only go to a maximum of around 600 kilograms. About to cross a runway. If we were to use voice control, we could just command the FO to
3, 4.
you're clear cross. If we were to use voice control, we could just command the strobe light on, but since I'm using button control, we can't do that. Okay, clear left side, clear right side. Only do single engine taxi when you are below 63 tons, otherwise you are just too heavy and you would need too much thrust to get your airplane rolling. Like you can see now, even though we landed at just about 60 tons, with the remaining engine at 40%, which is the maximum we are supposed to use during taxi, you can see we are barely accelerating. And that is actually quite realistic. So, when you do single engine taxi, be aware, if you have to go uphill or if the airplane is very heavy, don't do it. Also keep in mind how we kept the APU off all the time for the taxi. Our planned stand is 107, so we still got a little bit of time there. Also, I just about want to show you something. Let's just go back onto that Delta Sierra taxiway over here. Because you can see those, you can see the fences over here are really close to the taxiway. And I just want to show you what the wingtip clearance looks like when you're riding a taxiway like this. So check this. Actually not as bad as it looked like from the cockpit, is it? There's still a couple of meters left there. Okay then, parking over there, directly in front of the crew room.
Starting the APU.
Which is a good moment to start up the APU. And keep in mind, 15 knots should be maximum on the apron, so we are speeding a bit at the moment. Okay, 108 right, we need to go a little further. 108 left. Let's take it a bit further. 107 is what we're looking for. And here we go, 107 right, and then 107 is the one in the middle there. APU is available. So normally we would tell the first officer, oh, he does it.
APU on the buses.
Perfect. The first officer did put it on the bus. Very good. So that's 2 blue, 1 red. Lights off. That is, by the way, the captain's task during taxi. Okay, cool. So with that, the first officer should have brought up the engine page. And keep in mind, it is all your task again. And we're going to do a full shutdown, so let's go ahead and quickly do that. So with both engines below 20%, we should get that call. Engine 1 and Engine 2 below 20. But we don't. Okay, they should have called that.
Full shutdown checklist.
Fuel pumps.
Off.
Landing lights.
Off.
Landing lights.
Landing lights? Why are they calling for the landing lights? That is incorrect. After fuel pumps should...
Off.
Landing lights.
Okay, can I skip that somehow?
Off.
Landing lights.
What on earth?
Off.
Landing lights.
Off.
Landing lights.
Off.
Landing lights.
Okay, something is wrong. Come on, don't let me down over here. We don't want the landing lights, we want the full shutdown checks. Let's do that again.
Full shutdown checklist.
Fuel pumps.
Off.
Electrical.
That's correct now.
On APU.
Fasten belts.
Off. Cabin crew disarm slides and cross-check.
Window heat.
Off.
Probe heat.
Off.
Anti-ice.
The probe heat answer should have been auto, since the auto position is installed on this airplane.
Off.
Electrical hydraulic pumps.
Off.
Voice recorder.
Auto.
Air conditioning packs.
Auto.
Air conditioning packs.
No, they are certainly in off. Normally when you do the full shutdown, most people turn them off straight away. According to the procedure, they should stay in auto, but it's funny how the checklist just keeps repeating until you have them in the position where they should be, instead of the EFO saying something like, hey, do you want to turn them into the correct position?
Auto.
Engine bleeds.
On.
APU bleed.
Off.
Exterior lights.
Steady. Set.
Start switches.
Off.
Auto brake.
Off.
Speed brake.
Down. Detent.
Flaps.
Up. No lights.
Parking brake.
Set.
Start levers.
Cut off.
Weather radar.
Off.
Transponder.
2000 standby.
CVRCB.
In.
Cockpit door.
Unlocked.
Full shutdown checklist completed.
Okay, and that is the normal flight on that Ryanair 737. I do hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. Finally, I want to say that I'm really happy to see how this one turned out. There are a couple issues left every here and there, which I do hope are going to be sorted. But for all those Ryanair flyers out there, you have certainly found your perfect SOP. So overall, it's doing a fairly good job. Some improvements certainly still possible, but keep in mind this is still very much the first released version. There's only been one small update ever since, and the big update is still incoming. So, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed this one. Do let me know in the comments below, and do let me know if you have tried this SOP set. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to support the channel, then be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if you really like what I'm doing, I would love to see you as a channel member, which is going to give you exclusive early access to new products and videos before they're released for everyone else. Thank you for watching, and see you all again very soon.